true power of humanity.
Is that what you sound like? Would have been nice to get a line from you before. Then I wouldn't have made you all squeaky. I was thinking more bird than demon, I suppose. Also, that is a very awkward starting position. Right in the middle of our back line. Front line halfway across the map. Hopefully not an issue, but let's see how this goes. Suppressing fire! Oh boy. Okay, well... he's definitely tanky.
So it shall be.
Wow.
None can do this better than a warrior of the
goodness.
Old Father.
Okay, so this is actually kind of a serious threat. We've got to get Abby and Heinrichs in there. Keep this thing locked. Though, I can already see Heinrichs is all the way down at the bottom of the queue.
Wolves reign.
Abby's up first, but... oh, wow, did we not start a new fight when this guy rolled in? Like, I think they actually just straight up continued right off where we left off with Erlon, which is a rarity. Normally, they start two completely different fight sequences. Oh, boy. Yeah, because if they had, Abby would have gone first, and we would have gotten him in there right away. But in this particular fight, this guy rolled in the worst possible spot at the worst possible time, which immediately swarms our more vulnerable backliners with potentially dangerous foes. Though I suppose that's what the shotty's for. All right, reposition. Risky, but gotta do it. Nice. Not sure why you didn't provoke, but I will absolutely take it. And now to properly gauge the threat. Nice.
You never stood a chance.
Wolfar's good. Let's slay down Salvo 2. No free ult on tap, since this is technically the same fight, but we do still have Transcend, which is also normally only once per fight, so we are seeing some general weirdness. But I suppose it could be worse. The Shoddy plus Elusive Shadow should keep Val relatively safe. And Transcend. Oh man. This guy's got 10,000 health and sky-high defenses. We need to get some debuffs on him. Stat. Oh, come on. Really? Well, you know what? I was going to go for another round of suppressing fire, but apparently, because it's the same fight, we've already used our ults and thus can't use them again. Though, no need to panic just yet. We're still doing okay. Heinrichs, let's get you in there. Do you need... No, you've still got your buffs running. Though, Abby... Does Abby have his? I think he's good. Yeah, see, he's still got his, too. Right, so, just get in there and maybe buff up Ulfar while you're at it. Yes, he still needs them. So Heinrichs moves in, buffs up Ulfar, engages, and locks. And then that should hopefully keep the big guy off our squishier squatties. Is what I would say if Heinrichs could actually reach, but he's out of movement, so Pascal will have to hold out. Yeah, I'm not worried about the hoarders. It's the big guy who's... Oh, boy. Okay, well... Hask just got edged out. That does make things significantly worse for us. Alright, okay. That definitely sucks, but... Hask was one of our weaker links, so we're still in this. Man, of all the times to respect poor Hask, to make him a bit more range-focused. He was doing okay against the horrors. It was, you know, the Elder Demon that did him in.
I'll make it happen.
Full bore.
You all fall before my might.
Clears most of the mobs. We've got 2 left, plus the Herald.
Your end was inevitable.
Huh. He didn't like that. Are we actually doing damage to him when we take out his mooks? No, he didn't care about that one. Shit.
Naturally.
Dude just, like, kicked away a Psy sword. Yeah, I guess that tracks.
For the throne's glory.
Target hopefully locked, but we only get guaranteed success with Abby, who hasn't actually gone yet. There's something weird going on with the initiative on this one. Like, Ulfar's gone twice, Heinrichs has gone twice, Val's gone once, but Pask, Abby, and Cass never got to go at all. In fact, now that I'm looking at the initiative track, Abby and Cass are now at the bottom, which should never be the case because they both have abilities that always put them at the top. Though you know what, if this guy has an ability that reverses the initiative tracker, then that would explain it. Wow, that's tricky.
I've seen worse battles than this in my time. Victory is imminent. At your beck and call.
That's fine, bud. Just lock him down.
It will be done.
Edge, hopefully locked. Let's pull Cass back. Clear the last mooks. Get out of here, you. Yeah, see, it feels like he reacted to that, but nothing in the combat log. And he is immune to damage. I thought that's what I saw earlier, but I guess that does kind of clinch it.
Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
Yeah. So there is definitely something going on with his mooks. We'll need to clear the rest and see what happens. Wait, Ab? Oh, he just reflipped the initiative. Also, we're still in round 5. Man, that's weird. So I think every time we hit the end of a round, or this round specifically, it inverts back rather than progressing to the next round. It just keeps bouncing off the edges.
Indeed.
That is really trippy.
At your beck and call.
Horror's out. Let's see if that did it. Cast back up. So let's tag in Heinrichs. Abby's already got it locked, so. And there we go. Okay, we're not doing a ton of damage, but we are doing damage again. So I think we are starting to get an idea of what's going on with this crazy chaos fight. And we are starting to see some better damage, too. Man, just a shame we lost Pask so early. Before we figured out what was going on.
While the day breaks, do not.
Right, so this is less a straight-up fight and more just a wacky endurance battle. We just got kind of messed up by that terrible starting position. But I think we're good now, so let's just grind our way through. Daybreak. More like day broken. And thus it ends. Welcome back, Ask. Man, look at all those zones all over the floor. Yeah, okay, so, my goodness, it's been like an hour. I'm gonna have to cut a fair chunk of that out. But, for context, yes, it basically did turn out that once we got past that initial hump, it was really just an ongoing, enduring battle of attrition. Wave after wave of ablative mooks that we had to eliminate before we could chip away at his main health pool. But we finally made it. Surprised there was no immediate follow-up, but let's see what we've got. He's probably fine. Orlan's accursed Crozius. On successful hit with the Crozius, wielder's allies inflict extra damage for 1 round. Also prompts attacks of opportunity. Chaos Axe, completely useless to us, of course. Same with this, the Inherent Blasphemy. A bolt pistol which inflicts wart damage. Something we literally cannot use. And nothing from Conrad, though we can kind of see his... Is that him? I'm not... No, that's just a tech priest. Wow, yeah, I guess he just got completely unmade on a molecular level, gear and all. You know what? Fair enough. Shame we didn't actually get anything usable out of this, but let's see what comes next. The Voxcaster is producing nothing but static. Ashara's voice cuts through the static. We read you, Strike Team. This is Lift Control. Report your status. Oh, Ashara, I'm glad to hear we had you on such a vital task as securing our exit from this place. Well, I just thought you'd like to know Orlan is dead. Conrad, too. Ashara responds after a brief pause. Acknowledged, Strike Team. Beginning the extraction of the priority cargo. Yeah, I'll bet. A fine victory, Valen. They will tell sagas about the day the contemptible Orlan fell. The Cog Priest should offer you a fine cup of mead for saving their prayer world. Thorvald nods at the 2 gaunt bodies in crimson robes lying on the floor. If you hadn't, Urlan would have bathed them in 100-fold more blood. As for you, Ulfar Thunderlung, you have proven yourself. The Stormbiters will tell all about your feat, and your roaring song. I thank you, Thorvald. You and your brothers fought well. You did the wolves proud. It will be my joy to share a cup with you at the victory feast, Ironhide. Glad to see you made it, Thorvald. How's the rest of the pack? It does seem like you took the worst of it while we were working our way around. Several of my brothers will carry on fighting their battles in the All-Father's host. The rest have survived. We've shed much of our blood, but a wolf's hide is tough, and his spirit is stubborn. When you take us down, you'd better finish us off. The Stormbiters live on this day, and the next. Well, I'm glad to hear it, I guess. Also seems like you and Ulfar have hit pause on the infighting. It doesn't become a noble warrior to bark at his battle comrade after a good fight. Ulfar Thunderlung has proven that the spirit of the baleful howl is alive and strong. So let ravens fly where he has walked, and let them tear at the bloody harvest left in his wake. May Blackmane guide you through the black of night, Ironhide. Know that if your pack calls, the baleful howl will always answer. So still no idea what this was all about? Urlan sure seemed keen to get his hands on whatever was down there. And Ashara wasted no time in laying claim to it. I know not. Kalkazar's Carls did not allow anyone into the hidden arsenals. All we could see was them dragging crates up to the surface. 'Tis the age-old way. We fight, they sweep up the spoils. Thorvald grimly nods at the pair of corpses. We brought these from below. For all I know, it was his Carls that killed them to seal their lips. You see no signs of violence on the two women's bodies, but their porcelain white skin proves without a doubt that they are dead. Their hands are clutched together in a death grip. The sweet scent of rotten meat prickles my nostrils, but it is not the fallen bodies I smell. It's the hands of the Inquisitor's minions. 'Tis what my instincts tell me too. My heart never had a strong faith in Kalkazar's words before, but now whatever phantom trust I had is scattering into smoke. We must ask questions and get the answers. By force, if that is the way it has to be. Both wolves affirm the last words with fervent and murderous nods. Heinrichs casts a grim glance at the mighty warriors, but does not contradict them, either out of agreement or doubt about his survival, were he to raise an objection. Something strange has occurred to the two women's augmentics. It is as if they have begun to grow inside their flesh, spreading webs of metal around them. Signs of the tech plague, so that does give us a pretty good hint of what was hidden here. And also does kind of track, considering that the last place we knew that that was being experimented on was back on Kiaba Gamma, a place that came under the attention of both Kalkazar and Urlan the Cruel, and also theoretically spawned the weapon that was used to destroy the Aldari craft world, which in turn then somehow ended up in the hands of the Cabal of the Reaving Tempest, which we now know Kalkazar was working with. Man, yeah, so it does feel like a lot of pieces are finally starting to fit together. In fact, that might also explain why we didn't see what's-his-face, Kalkazar's pet tech priest. He was probably down below, clearing up loose ends. After taking a closer look, you realize that every augmetic seems to have begun mutating, developing new forms and functions not envisioned by their creators. It seems probable that this is what caused their demise. Suddenly, you hear a click inside one of the tech priest's bodies, and her eyes open wide. A spasm shakes her gaunt limbs, making Thorvald clutch his weapon. Her lips twist into a crooked line, forcing out 2 words. The Yoke. She's still alive. Get those wounds patched. Reconstruction. Impossible. The woman's whisper is barely audible, but the weak voice that is coming from her pale lips still sounds more alive than the mechanical hiss of a vox. The shelter has fallen. The maimed hunter comes. Cessation of vital functions inevitable. Her eyes momentarily roll back, but then a metallic churr inside her chest brings her back to consciousness. The maimed hunter, which does fall in line with our loose theory. I have long conflated the maimed hunter and whatever it was, Bronze Whisper? Brass Whisper? Brass Whisper. I've long assumed that those two are the same person.
Reading the unit's new spheric signature. No evidence of corruption registered in the algorithms. Detecting substantial logical disruptions within the augments. Threat level low.
There is not a single wound upon her white skin, but there is no doubt that she will soon perish. Her augmetics are failing as if they have been sabotaged by some entropic influence. For a moment you consider it a sign of tech blight, but then you refute the thought. What you are witnessing is not decay, but transformation of the matter from which the tech priest's true flesh is made. Okay, well, I mean, that doesn't really necessarily mean it's not the tech blight. It could just be the refined version Theodora was experimenting with, the one potentially deployed against the Aldari craft world. What's your name? Magos. Axiomantha. Hanuman. That is my identifier. You don't say. Pascal's mechadendrites snap up in a whirlwind of alarm, and the recorder in his Vox activates with a click.
Initiating interrogation procedure.
You're far from the first servant of the Omnissiah I've encountered who claims to go by that name. The tech priest responds with a faint and enigmatic smile. You have found yourself at the center of a tangle of paradoxicality. Yeah, story of my life. And the maimed hunter? How does he fit into all this? This place was a shelter. The Lord Inquisitor hid me here. And not only me. A high-pitched groan of pain interrupts her words. The maimed hunter, a figure of termination, an unknown variable, Amernat's nemesis. I never met them, but I inferred their existence based on statistical evidence and logical conclusions. The portents of entropy foretell that the hunter is near. Right, okay, so it does sound like Pascal's thing, the fate of Amernat and the many Hanumen do seem to be intrinsically tied to whatever is going on with the main actual plot, specifically surrounding this mysterious, refined tech blight. What can you tell me about Amernat? I was a disciple of the Messiah of Discontinuing. When he was laid low, I found myself here. I hid from my reckoning. I reached out to the Omnissiah's wisdom as I pondered and considered. Logic revealed much to me, even here, in my prison.
The cycle will be discontinued, sister.
Pascal speaks the words of the sacred motto with an air of mournful consolation. Hope is illogical, brother. What about her? Was she also one of you? She was me. A phenomenon of flesh divided me into two identical bodies at birth. The Omnissiah's wisdom let me overcome the physiological flaw by braiding the separated mind. I was the first unificate in the fleet. Now this half of me is dead. The rest of my mind is fading. The sympathetic principle is insurmountable. The tech priest closes her eyes and starts whispering something incomprehensible, sinking deeper into the depths of oblivion.
Creation of unificates is dangerous knowledge that has long since been denounced by many as a procedure not blessed by the Omnissiah. It is based not on a direct prototype envisioned by the precursors, merely on loosely connected technologies.
Knowledge will not have the capacity to be absolute until the coming of the Omnissiah. We do not know of such pre-technology, but can we claim with certainty that it never existed? Do you remember stories about
The Gemini Krats, the twin magi who joined their minds in their devotion to Mars? I remember. Proponents of the right to create unificates base their defense on this momentous precedent.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm not entirely following this, but I think what they're saying is... Well, no, because, like, tech priests already are known to create, essentially, tech-linked hive minds, right? But I guess even in those cases, they do technically still maintain their individual personalities, their own minds. They're all part of a combined effort, but they still maintain their individuality. At least in theory. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I really understand that. But this does sound like it might be something different. Like, she's not acting like her sister is a separate individual. She is her sister, much like those two twin boxers in Cyberpunk, for those of you who played that. You know, you've got those two guys who linked their minds together because they were twins at birth, and then just went ahead and braided their, like, neural networks together and became a single person spread over two bodies. That's what it sounds like she's describing. But I mean, if she was the first, she might have been the basis for an experiment to then try to expand it even further over numerous individuals, all of the collective Hanuman, perhaps, who then all became a single amalgamous mind. Pask, did you have anything else you wanted to ask? Pascal switches to rapid, binaric trills, but Axiomantha merely shakes her head. Pascal demands, loudly.
Our identifiers are identical. State the reason for the duplication.
She closes her eyes and whispers almost deliriously. A portent left by the Messiah. A cog pattern in which the righteous may see the Deus Mechanicus. After this less than coherent response, Pascal continues sharply.
I seek Archmagos Amarnat. Where is he?
The Messiah of discontinuing was revoked. Pascal says nothing for a while, then inquires thoughtfully.
The maimed hunter. What are the unit's status and parameters?
Coming. Concealed. Proceed with caution, for the hunter, too, sees the Messiah's signs. Yes, that does track. Pask? Thoughts?
The unit lacks clear answers. Her cognitive abilities have been damaged, but analytical data suggests a higher validity to our identifiers being an exact match. It is not a consequence of malicious falsification. It is more akin to an act of purposeful direction. Estimated level of threat to Archmagos Amernot increased. The unit identified as the maimed hunter is now regarded as the most probable source of danger.
Sister, I think I understand, but could you speak more plainly? For the layman. Are my words obscure? That is regrettable. Processing becomes difficult when you only have one half of your mind. Certain notions, data, and logical instruments were left in the less functional part of me. That's fine. You've still given us quite a bit. Thank you. If you wish to know more, then hurry. The turning of the cog will soon cease. Your condition. Who inflicted this on you? The maimed hunter? A pained shadow falls across her face. The chapel was attacked. The preservation protocol commanded me to hide within the inner artifactorium and block all outside access to it. Prolonged presence in close proximity to the object was prohibited by the algorithm, but the preservation protocol had a higher priority. The object affected me. I resisted. Resistance led to structural change. The object. The yoke. The weapon we forged at the Lord Inquisitor's command. The destroyer of worlds. And there we have it. A weapon to destroy worlds, craft or otherwise. I need more details. What is this yoke exactly? How does it work? Is it based on the tech blight? An enigma. The project was kept secret from everyone, including the Smiths. We forged fragments of it. It was a tool for controlling energies of staggering power, and it was not the Omnissiah's blessed gifts that served as its foundation. It was forbidden knowledge. Knowledge that we comprehended.
Registering bless.
We were continuing the work of our mentor, Archmagos Amernot. It was his wisdom that made our toils possible. Axiomanta's words render Pascal speechless. Heinrich shakes his head in amazement. A yoke? A means of restraint? It sounds like a project on a grand, planetary scale. And this is the first I'm hearing of it. Perhaps there was a hidden purpose to my assignment besides combating the cult and accompanying you, Valen. But why? What else can you tell us about this weapon? Amernot helped develop it? Why? Who is Kalkazar planning to use it against? Against anyone. Its power is absolute. The first experiments with this tech relic were calamitous. The tech blight is merely its echo. Its potential is so much greater. She stops as if frightened by her own words. It never should have fallen into the hands of the laity, but the Lord Inquisitor stole it. Its secret was procured beyond the dimensional gate, beneath the dark stars, and passed over to Amernot. Kalkazar destroyed the Messiah of Discontinuing and robbed him, and claimed the secret for himself. Oh, wow. He knows. She points at Thorvald. He was there. Thorvald glances at you in shame. She speaks no lies. The first task the Inquisitor gave us in the Expanse was to destroy a cult of tech heretics. The deed was done. This Amernot, was he a good priest? Did Kalkazar drag us into something foul? Wolfar looks away and rumbles heavily.
I was there too. I fought those judged by Kalkazar.
Pascal's box sounds as if a hot metal string just snapped inside.
This unit is waiting for an explanation.
Why would Kalkazar turn to you? Why not just take care of it himself?
At first he tried to do everything swiftly and quietly, but his agents and the Cog priests loyal to him failed to capture the leader of the tech heretics. That's when he realized he needed indestructible warriors. He needed us. The Cog Carls were powerless against the Wolves' might. And we brought carnage to the Explorator's ships and worlds.
Ulfar, why have you not mentioned this before? I feel like we've been traveling together long enough that you should have realized we were treading each other's paths.
Ulfar mutters, his expression as dark as a storm cloud. It was not my concern, only another's will. And it was the chapter's business. I have already told you more about the wolves than many of my brothers would have said in my place.
Well, I guess I can understand that. Sorry, Ulfar, I made the mistake of assuming that we were friends, that we actually respected one another, but I guess that was just a one-way street. I won't insult you by pretending I'm not disappointed. I'll keep this in mind moving forward.
A violent roar erupts from Ulfar's throat as his face turns red. What can you know about what it's like for a warrior of the Allfather to be among mortals? You are my battle comrades. You're almost a pack to me. But you do not carry Russ's blessing. You are not of my blood. You think I enjoy keeping my mouth shut about the wolves' secrets? You think I come from secretive schemers whose thoughts crawl and slither like vipers? It disgusts me. Truly, a wolf's place is among the wolves.
Ulfar grinds his teeth, no longer hiding his shame and anger. Sorry, bud. Okay, so I am starting to put together a timeline here. Because it was mentioned that Amernot did in fact travel with Theodora for a time. He was part of her retinue. They found this weapon together, started researching it, and then Kalkazar stole it from her, apparently killing Amernot in the process. With the Space Wolves' assistance, one pack of whom are now notably MIA.
Pascal utters coldly. Unit Ulfar claims that he was a tool in another's hands. This statement has been archived. Then let every tool be treated as befits its function.
Ulfar responds quietly and sullenly.
You are a worthy ally. I never meant you or your brethren harm, Cog Priest. As befits its function.
Great. Glad we got that settled. Thorvald, what else can you tell us about Amernot?
Thorvald throws up his hands. Nothing. I swear on my honor. He disappeared, and so did his ship. There is no blood of his upon our hands.
And the weapon, this Yoke, you still insist you know nothing about it?
I never even knew there was a weapon. I was told of traders, and I tracked them down. I claim no trophies. I had no part in any dark intrigues. You think I would have wished that sneaky, scheming viper to get his hands on something so powerful? I wouldn't even trust him with my axe.
Look, I get it. My personal issues with the Inquisition aside, I understand why most folks would accept the orders from a so-called hero of the Imperium. At least at first. Thorvald frowns and says in a hollow voice,
And yet doubts smother my heart. Did we sully our chapter's honor with deeds done for a dishonorable end?
Yeah, you unfortunately did. but I think we all did, at least to some degree. My predecessor included. This weapon, what exactly did it do to you? A difficult thing to explain to a layman. Metamorphosis phenomena occur in the object's vicinity. Sacred technology and even ordinary plasteel start to behave willfully, shifting, restructuring, and altering their fundamental attributes. Imagine yourself gazing upon a surface of water that was disturbed by a stone an era ago, but the ripples never stopped coming. That is what it felt like. The object propagated echoes of change.
Her true flesh has betrayed her and become a heavy burden of metal within her body, something that is not of the Omnissiah's design. Something devoid of function.
Pascal speaks the last words with audible disgust and sorrow. I've got to ask, why exactly are you telling us all this? What prompted this deathbed confession? I was never Kalkazar's servant. I was forced to serve. When our circle was broken, he offered me a choice. Submit or die. He threatened to kill half of me if I refused to forge for him. He needed Archmagos Amarnot's knowledge. I saw no sense in resisting.
You betrayed him too.
Yes. Her agreement comes easily, with a weak smile. Ethics are an insubstantial construct of emotion. I acted logically. I continued to comprehend, rather than terminate my vital functions. It's fine. We understand. It's difficult to process. Have I fulfilled my duty to the Omnissiah? May I rest now? She looks through you, as though she can no longer see you. Just hang in there, okay? We still might be able to help you. Attempts to slow down the degradation process are irrational, for they only prolong my suffering. I wish to cease to be. Her eyes close. Brother, take my thoughts. I kept them. Keep them now. Her final words are a faint whisper.
Knowledge will not fall into oblivion.
Taking great care not to ruin the tech priest's features, Pascal reverently extracts the neural cogitator from her skull, then does the same to her sister.
The quest for knowledge is the Omnissiah's mission to us.
Thorvald, I know better than to underestimate your intelligence. I trust you understand what's happening now? Something foul. The Inquisitor seeks to use us to obtain a mighty weapon, and that he kept this design even from us, the Allfather's warriors, sows suspicion in my heart. Does he keep his lips sealed because he knows that we won't support his game? Does the worm of treason lurk within his mind? I mean, not quite how I would have put it myself, but yeah, I think you've got the gist. Stop the loading. We need to inspect these crates. All you hear in response is wheezing static. Right. Ishara, that conniving spittle? She silenced our Vox voices. Thorvald tries to revive his caster to no avail. By the time we get back to the surface, the Inquisitor's mutts will be gone with their prize. But we'll be right behind them, thanks to these two. May they find their final reward in the eyes of the Omnissiah. May the wolf that stalks between stars keep their departed souls. Right. Wow, that was a lot, and I believe this actually does mark, it certainly feels like it marks, our point of no return. I'm going to have to mull on this to really kind of knit it into a cleaner whole cloth, but the general gist I'm getting here from all those, like that giant, just truckload of reveals, is essentially, once upon a time, Amernot, who may or may not have been a single-minded Gestalt being, was part of Theodora's retinue. Together, the two of them found a long-lost world with some sort of Xeno or Heretic on it, with transmutational properties, and an unfathomable will driving it. We know it worked with purpose because it created Nomos, for example. They brought it back to Kiava Gamma for study and created the bastardized Tech Blight, which they weaponized. But somewhere along the line, Kalkazar found out about it and conspired to steal it, which he did succeed in doing with the Space Wolves' assistance, killing Amernot and wiping Theodora's mind, which ultimately drove her into her self-destructive spiral of paranoia. Kalkazar moved the Yoke to Euphrates II, where we are now, to continue researching it. But also, at that point, presumably realized there were other loose ends that still needed to be cleared. For example, he used a part of Amernot, Axiomantha, to continue the research, but then presumably also realized that other parts of Amernot still alive would also theoretically have that knowledge, even if they didn't have immediate access to it, thus dispatching Brass Whisper to eliminate them, the Hanumen. A concern that was well-founded, because that's probably how Uralon found out about it, since he also had a Hanuman when we encountered him on Kiava Gamma. In fact, in retrospect, that might be why the cult attacked Rykad Minoris as well, since there was another Hanuman there, Abel Hanuman, who had been captured by the cult. Kalkazar also realized that he could no longer trust the Space Wolves, so he secured the services of the Drukhari, the Cabal of the Reaving Tempest, whom he paid with the ruins of an Eldari craft world, destroyed using either the Tech Blight or the Yoke itself. He then essentially had the Reaving Tempest do his dirty work, targeting his enemies. We know that the Drukhari clashed with the Space Wolves. That's how they caught Ulfar. And they were on site to go after his rogue apprentice, plus Viabo 6, a world we know had hidden Necron technology. And he may have gone to them for assistance in the research, since we know Tervantius had a human partner, one whom ultimately betrayed him and stole his research, presumably after we compromised the Cabal of the Reaving Tempest in Act 3. We basically gutted them on the way out of Komorra. Oh my goodness, in fact, Tervantius was even trying to do what we basically think Amarnot was. I think Tervantius was actually trying to use his clones to create a one-man unificate, one mind spread over multiple bodies. Wow, yeah, it is all kind of coming together. Which I guess brings us to now. You know, we've inadvertently secured the Yoke for Kalkazar once more. He has his research that he recovered from Euphrates II and presumably Tervantius. And we have essentially just become a party full of loose ends. Val, Thorvald, Pascal, Heinrichs, Ulfar, all somehow tied to his grand scheme, and now one of the few folks who even knows what he's up to, let alone has any chance to actually stop him. Though we don't know exactly what it is he's trying to do. We just know that he's willing to go full scorched earth to do it. Honestly, I imagine the only reason he didn't try to kill us here and now was because securing the Yoke was of higher priority. But we do know that he's likely to come after us next, which I suppose is all the more reason to go after him first. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll try to better curate those thoughts, to try to fit them together more neatly. And we'll pick up here next time We do have one more sector just off to our space east we need to clear. But yeah, after that, it sounds like we are indeed headed for the point of no return. Gotta say, I'm actually pretty impressed with how all these seemingly random bits and bobs did end up fitting together. And I'm very curious to see what his ultimate goal might actually be. Is he just a traitor to the Imperium? Is he doing this all out of self-interest? Or does he somehow think that the ends will ultimately justify the means? I guess we'll know soon. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Giemza, OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Grovel for the true power of humanity.